Icky Rose, what do you say? What do you know? This is the Keeper coming at you from the man cave. And today, we're going to take a look at keyboards back then, like when I first started out. Alright? And back then was a way different time for keyboard players, because it was actually pretty much non-existent. All you had organ and electric pianos, all right, and then a couple of little odds and ends, all right. Electric pianos, you had the Fender Rhodes, all right. You had the Wurlitzer. Hohner had the pianet, something like that. Then there was the ugly electric piano, which I never did like, and I still don't like it till this very day. The RMI. I don't know what the hell that was supposed to sound like, but it was crappy. And that's pretty much it. All right. And then with organ, you kind of had a choice, you know. And now I grew up as a Hammond person. When I was 6 years old, the very first keyboard I played was a Hammond B3. Matter of fact, this very B3 right here. This is a 1962 Hammond. This was bought brand new in Pittsburgh from Joseph Horns by my brother Don. And this is what he used to play. I don't know if you guys remember a song called The Rapper. Rapper, rapper, rap. They call him the rapper. Well, that was recorded by a Pittsburgh band called the Jaggers. Well, my brother Don played in that band. All right. And so I had an older brother that was pretty much a keyboard player, and like my second dad. And so anyway, so you have organ and piano. All right. Now, one thing we're going to hit this, I'll just put this out to you right now. My brother Don is also an engineer, all right? So remember that, because it's going to factor in later on. All right, so back in the days, all you had was piano and organ, all right? And, man, if you wanted to get around, especially as, you know, I think I started playing in bands like when I was like 11, all right? So I had to have a smaller organ. So my parents ended up buying me a Farfisa. By the way, Farfisa backwards is a Sifraf, in case you ever wondered. A Sifraf makes a good word. So, but and Leslie, all right, and then eventually you get items like the clavinet, which is really cool, and the string machines and the synthesizer. All right, those started coming in. All right, now back then also. There was zero regards to keyboard players. No keyboard stands or nothing. And so you kind of had to get innovative with where to put stuff, all right? And I remember my first keyboard rig when I started really playing professionally was a Farfisa organ with a Leslie, a Fender Rhodes suitcase, a Elka string machine, and the Moog satellite. Now, luckily, you had flat areas on top of your keyboards to put stuff. All right, now like on the Fender Rhodes, that's where I put my Moog. All right, and the Moog satellite had these adjustable feet where you could screw them out. And you could either tilt the keyboard back or forward just by unscrewing the leg. Something like what you see on washing machines, you know, they have the adjustable legs. All right. But eventually, like if you wanted to put a clavinet, the top of the Rhodes is like rounded. All right. So what I would do is I would put a piece of carpet on top of the Rhodes. All right. And I made this, it was a piece of wood. And it had these two brackets that came down, and it was able to make a flat area on top of the Rhodes. All right. And so basically, everything was innovative. All right. Now, also, there is no really dedicated amplifier setups for keyboards. You know, usually with the bass, you're only dealing with one channel. Guitar, well, they use the lead and the rhythm channel, um, but when you're playing multi keyboards, you need more than one channel. So at first, what you would do, because what I did was I had the Leslie, all right, and then I had a cabinet that had this was a bass cabinet, and it had two 15-inch electro voice SROs in it. That thing weighed a ton. All right, so we had two 15s in the cabinet, and I had a Sun 1200S power amplifier. All right, and this amplifier head was about like this wide. It was wide, and it probably weighed as much as a car. And this thing was heavy, but you had two channels. All right, so I was able to I was able to put two keyboards through that. All right, and then the Leslie. Well, I always ran powerful Leslies. All right, I would go there and take the power amp out of the Leslie, which is only 600 watts. I mean, 60 watts. That's all louder a Leslie is. Take the power amp out, and then we came up with a switching system to switch the motors, you know, fast and slow and blah blah. And what I did was I took the Jensen driver out and the 15-inch Jensen speaker, and I put electro voice SRO in the bottom, and then a 110 watt EV driver in the top. All right, and I ran a Sun 1000S amplifier on that. All right, so we got the organ going through that, and then we had the Fender Rhodes, which had its own amplifier in there. All right, then we had the 1200S, where I would put the string machine and the Moog through. All right, but also the suitcase model, that's not very loud. They had a little box. It was called, I think, an L5. What it was a little square box, had a 1/4-inch jack at the end of it, had a switch and a knob, all right, and then an input on the, it actually had two inputs on it, all right. So I used that that L5 thing, and that made the Rhodes a little bit louder, but still, it wasn't loud enough. So I still had to find a way to play the Rhodes through another amp, all right. Well, my brother Don said, let's do this. So what we did is we took 2 1/4-inch jacks and we wired those together into another 1/4-inch jack. Basically, what we did was we made a wide jack so you could put 2 instruments and have one output. So anyway, we're now sticking like 3 things into this one amplifier. All right, and even back in the olden days. Like in the 50s and that, you would put, some bands would play all through one amplifier, even the vocals. You know, it was crazy back then. But that's the way keyboards were. Whatever you can kind of do. All right. Then I found out about basically what you need to play through is a mini PA system. All right. So I ended up buying a custom 150 PA system. All right. And it was a 4-channel mixer, and it had 2 columns. All right. But they weren't the full columns. They were like maybe like up to here. You know what I mean? And so I started playing through those. Now those were kind of loud enough, but the tone control wasn't really that great. Plus, I also had that one cabinet with the 215s SROs in it. They sounded great. All right. So eventually, they started making mixers. All right. And so now I end up getting a Tapco some of you older guys will remember the Tapco mixers, which when the Tapcos came out, they were kind of famous at first, but they're considered garbage by today's standards. But I believe it was an 8-channel Tapco mixer. So I'd have the Tapco mixer, and I would run that into the Sun 1200S head, all right, and into the 215s, all right, and the Leslie pretty much stayed the same, all right. Well, by this time, my very first car was a station wagon, so I was able to haul everything around like that, and but when I started having vans, and then back then the PA system started getting bigger. Like when I first started playing, the very top-notch PA system that you could have, and this was considered the cream of the crop, was the Shure Audio Master. All right, and that was like the system. And after time, the one band I was playing with, we had the Shure Audio Master with 4 cabinets, which was considered badass during that time. Oh wow, they got 4 cabinets, you know. Then Shure even made the little smaller cabinets that a lot of people used as monitors. All right, so that was pretty much crazy. All right, and so now as time moved on, they're coming out with more and more keyboards, all right, and you know, you had the Mini Moog, then they had the Satellite, and various Moogs and stuff. Then Korg started coming out with their synthesizer, which was the MS series, all right. My very first one of those was an MS-10. Then later on, I ended up getting the MS-20. It was kind of like a Mini Moog, all right. And then I sold my Elka string machine, and I bought, which is back in the day was considered one of the cream of the crops, the Krumar Orchestrator, and that did piano. It did like an RMI type of sounding piano. It had harpsichord on it, had brass on it, which wasn't really brass, but then it had strings and a bunch of other things on it. But it was one of the cool things. They had another version of that called the Krumar Performer, and so this stuff started coming out, and but no keyboard stands. You had to innovate. Remember when I said I had the Korg MS-10? Well, I ended up getting a cymbal stand, all right, and then I made a flat piece of wood that had a piece of metal underneath of it that was able to fit into the cymbal stand, and so I would start setting synthesizers on cymbal stand, so you could kind of squeeze them everywhere, you know what I mean? And I think in 1978 is when I bought my first keyboard stand. And you remember the Ultimate Support? They were like A-frames and they were tubes. So you get to the gig and you'd have to put all these tubes together, and voila, you have a keyboard stand. But if you didn't tighten them up, the keyboard stand would just move and your keyboards will fall off, and it's pretty messed up. Till this very day, I don't trust those, and they still make them. And but yeah, so that part of it is crazy. All right, but at the same time, more and more the audio started to get better and better. You know, right? So a lot of us keyboard players, we were just basically playing through small PA systems, all right? So that's a little background history, you know, but also back then, a lot of us keyboard players, we were also our own techs, all right? We made our own cables. We did majority of the time, we did our own repairs. like Fender Rhodes, if you break a time, um, you know, you can either play the rest of the night with a missing note, or if you were good, and I was good, um, you could change out a time on your break. And basically all you needed was a Phillips screwdriver, a small crescent wrench, and a 5/16 nut driver. That's all you needed. And you can change out a time. I think the average time that the change out of time would probably be around 10-15 minutes. All right. So, and and a flathead screwdriver, because you need to tune it after you install it. So, but that's all you needed. And yeah, it was a crazy time. And you know, then one thing cool that where I lived at, we had a real progressive music store. It was called Bob Trombino's Modern School of Music, and I was living in a small town, all right, 18 miles south of Pittsburgh. But this music store was so progressive, we even had people from Pittsburgh come in all the way to Bell Vernon to check out, you know, what was happening. Because Trombino's, we had a Yamaha dealership, Cord dealership there, and Moog. All right. So a lot of the Moog products were, you know, hitting us, coming to us. And so, you know, that's how you kind of kept up with what was new, and then, you know, new stuff to get, you know. Then also during this time, I ended up getting a clavinet. I think I got my first clavinet in 1974. All right. So now you got the clavinet, and also with the Rhodes, the effect pedals started coming off. All right. So what was really cool with the Rhodes was a little tiny box. It was called the Small Stone Phase Shifter. All right. Well, I think Alan Parsons was probably one of the first, I believe, and don't quote me on it, but to use a phase shifter on the Rhodes. And also chorusing came out, and people were using that on the Rhodes. Now also, what was cool was, now remember I was talking about the Super PA system, the Shure Vocal Master. I think they had reverb built in it too, but the effect at the time everybody was using was an Echoplex. And what it was a box about this big, all right, and it had a tape on it that looped around. And we started using that for our vocals, all right? So you have a little bit of the reverb and the Echoplex, doing the echo, right? Well, I happened to get my hands on one, all right? And I started using that. And also now with the clavinet. So now you're using a phase shifter on your Rhodes, and now you got one that you're using on the clavinet. Then also you got a chorus out there hanging around. And then I started putting the Echoplex on the clavinet. All right. Then there was another device that came out, and I think it was called the Mutron. And Stevie Wonder was the first guy to really bring that effect to life. And a good example was Higher Ground. That's that one song. Yeah, it's something like that. All right. So gotta have that. You gotta have a Mutron. So I started using a Mutron on the clavinet. So it was also during the time where new keyboards are coming in. Now you got effect pedals and all that stuff. Now you got better mixing consoles that you can start using and better speaker systems. Now, instead of using the regular amplifiers, now we're buying a mixer. Now we're buying little power amps, all right, to power ourselves through speakers. All right, so now you got a mixer, and usually you just kind of screw that onto a mic stand and pick that anywhere where you can do it. Then you have a power amp hanging around somewhere, all right. Then you have your speaker cabinets, and also the Leslie's still kicking out, all right. And also by this time, I sold the Farfisa, which backwards is a Sifra, all right. I ended up selling that, and I ended up getting an Hammond M3, and so I started by this time. Through the bands I was playing with, we did a lot of Doobie Brothers, a lot of Allman Brothers, and that's where I first got. I think 1972, 73 is when I started getting into the Allman Brothers, and so that was cool. So now I got moving around a Hammond M3, and so I mean it was just such a crazy time back then, and but now you go from that, and plus the music scene was awesome. Now we're talking, I'm in high school, all right. Probably the lowest amount of money that I would have in my pocket at one time would probably be $80, all right. But usually I would have like anywhere from $150 to $300 in my pocket all the time. Because I was playing so much, you could play anywhere. I mean, we were even doing gigs. We would play a gig in the afternoon in Pittsburgh at some outside of some nightclub. All right, hurry up and tear it down. Go to another gig. You play from like 9 to 1 there. All right, that's gig 2. All right, and then you would hurry up and tear it down and go from so you're going like maybe play your first gig in Pittsburgh, then maybe go to South Hills, which is probably like a half an hour away, and rip down. Then you go all the way for your third gig, all the way to the north side and play an after hours club. All right, now you're back on the road probably about 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. All right. Birds are tweeting, and it was 3 gigs in one day, really, really cool stuff, and but it was like a really awesome time. It was an age of discovery. New technologies were coming out. Dave Smith came out with the Prophet, stuff that someone like me could not afford, And but the Prophets came out, and also you start hearing the Mellotrons. The Beatles started using the Mellotron. John Lennon bought one. All right, he had a Mellotron. A lot of people that recorded at Apple studios were using the Mellotrons. So it was a really, really crazy time. And, when you get around my age, you're closer to the end than you were the beginning. So, mortality, well, I'm okay with the Lord. I'm a Christian. I have a very strong belief in that. So, like, if I die, I die. I know where I'm going. So I have no problem with that. But I find myself a lot of the times just thinking like, wow, where did all the time go? And it's really crazy. But hey, we're gonna do some more talking about Oregon, And now here's the crazy thing. Now, when I first started playing, originally I was considered basically kind of a jazz player. All right. And but various styles of music, especially when Skinner came out, I started hearing it. And also, this is kind of weird. I'm kind of like a product of what I listen to. And I have like various styles, all right? I could play like the rock style, like Jay Giles, Three Dog Night, Uriah Heep, Deep Purple. So that's like kind of one style. Then you got the Southern rock style, all right? So you adapt to that, which is, and basically it's all, everything's adapted off of blues, all right? And then then I ended up getting turned on to a guy named Brian Auger, all right? Now that during around this time, I kind of was like, you take like Santana, Greg Rowley was the guy who sang Black Magic Woman and Evil Ways, and he was a keyboard player for Santana. I loved the way this guy played. Also, Jimmy Greenspoon from Three Dog Night. So I was kind of a cross between those two guys, all right? And then I started listening to Brian Auger, all right? So Brian Auger kind of locked me in on the Fender Rhodes, and like a good example, let's see, jump. Where's my glasses? I can't see shit. Anyway, I love the way he played, and I started adapting to him. All right, so that's pretty cool, man. So I'm getting back to the jazz roots. All right, and then the Crusaders and the Yellow Jackets, and I got turned on to Joe Sample, and my God, there's another style I started adapting. Then you go all the way from that, then you go to Skinner, then you go Billy Powell, and then now you're into piano. All right, now basically, I'm an organ player, but I'm also really good at emulating, all right? So I started emulating how to play piano, but I'm not trained, all right, as a piano player. But I've through my whole life, I've been really good at emulating different things, and just like the way I play brass, all right? But we'll get to that later. And so now you got all these various styles, all right? And then also there's funk, you know, can't leave out the clavinet. Now one thing I didn't mention, there was a time, I remember my two brothers. My brother Don is the oldest, all right? Don originally started out as a drummer, all right? Then he started playing drums, he started playing drums in band, but being Italian, all right, he had to learn accordion, all right? And so Donald started, he taught him, Donald was always, he's very well educated. Don was playing drums, but also during this time he was playing accordion. And Don became well known. And actually, Don did a couple gigs with Lawrence Welk. And also at the time he did some gigs with, what's his name? She wore blue velvet, Bobby Vinton, all right? And so he started doing some gigs with Bobby Vinton. And, but Don was pretty well known as an accordion player, all right? And then what Don did when he shifted from drums and all that to basically keyboard instruments, he gave his set of drums to my brother Dave, and my brother Dave became a drummer, all right? So there's that, all right? Well, having drums at the house, naturally I'm going to hop on them and play on them. So I became a drummer. And during high school, I would play drums in one band and keyboards in another. Kind of confusing, all right? I had a really awesome set of drums, had a nice set of sonars, Zildjian K cymbals, really cool pedals and all that stuff. But At the time, I had the Moog satellite, but I really wanted a mini Moog. Well, a good way to get the mini Moog was sell my drums. All right, so I ended up selling my drums, so I'd have the money to buy the mini Moog. Blah blah blah. But it was cool because now I had two synthesizers, I had the mini Moog and the satellite. So, but I never forgot drums because drums. I love drums. All right, which helped me out with the clavinet, which kind of, because I digressed a little bit. But remember, we were talking various styles of music. All right, now funk music. I started because I became known as a pretty funky guy, and they said, "Hey Kiefer," and I said, "What? Why are you so funky, dude?" But anyway, so with that, I became a really funky guy. Then on the clavinet. All right. Then when you put the neutron and all that stuff, it's just like, oh my God. You know, it really became its own instrument. All right. So you got all that stuff happening. So, but, then, let's say like maybe around 78, that's when things really started changing because you're hearing some sounds you normally didn't hear before. Now, also during this time, the one sound that was very hard to get live was the grand piano. All right, and mainly that's probably why electric pianos were so prominent back then. All right, well, Yamaha came out, what is it, the CP70, the CP80. They came out those electric pianos. Now I couldn't afford those. All right, those were a lot of money back then. But I eventually ended up with the electric grand piano. But the one I had was a Baldwin the electric grand. It was and what it was, the Baldwin electric grand was basically a very small spin-in upright, but it was actually lighter than a V3. And you put Hammond dollies on it, it was really easy to move. And I think there was other piano. I think there was a Custom 88. Hemp and Steel came out with one, and so now you're able to get grand piano up on stage. All right, but it didn't come portable until the samplers came along, and my very first grand piano was a Mirage, the Mirage piano sample. All right, and what is that, like 1980 something? All right, but now sampling technology came along, and now you're able to do all that crazy stuff. And also, like, you got all these other keyboards, like the well, Roland started out their everybody's making synthesizers, all right, and Roland introduced the SH series, all right. Then they started the Juno series, because now you're getting into poly synthesizers, all right. And I think the very first one that I saw at Trombino's School of Music was, I think it was called the Korg Mono Poly, all right. And then there was a Korg, I can't remember, but it was like the very first polysynth, all right. And then Moog had a couple polysynths off the. It was the one that guy, what's his name? Da 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 ba da ba da da da. In cars, ba 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 da. Gary Newman. And he started using one of those poly Moogs, and so I mean all this stuff was coming out, man, and it was really crazy. And so now by this time I'm diving in to piano now, and so now you got, at first you're bringing the big stuff out, like the CP70s, CP80s, and I was using the Baldwin and all that stuff. And now you got the sampling. Now they started using sampling technology. So now you're back down to doing compact sounds. And so the bigger crap sort of fading out, you know what I mean? But very cool time. And I think when I was touring, other stuff too is the Oberheims were coming out too, and the OB8 and all that stuff was coming out. All right, and then when I was on tour, I was touring with the Bogues. That was my first national act that I played with. All right, and but the thing is I had to keep things small. I couldn't bring any Hammonds out, but they came out with I think it was Krumar came out with a really nice organ. All right, and that thing had the drawbars. And I think it was the Krumar organizer, and those drawbars were like an inch and a quarter wide. Remember those? All different colors. These big giant. You had to have like kung fu grip to move the drawbars. And then there was the Traveler One, uniboxinator version of that, and so that. And then they started even making these little tiny Leslie. It was a Leslie top, and emotion sound and all that stuff all started coming out, man. But it was really, really a crazy, crazy time. And, and I look at it from my perspective now, and I see all my toys I have here in the cave. And I just can't help but remember I was alive when this all started. Really cool. All right. So I'm going to take a break right now. And I'm going to come back and we're going to kind of deep dive some organ for you guys. Okay, see ya. Light. Okay, gang, I'm back from my little break, man. Hey, like I was talking about before, growing up as a baby boomer, you had to be your own tech and stuff. And I'm still crazy like that to this very day. Like, one of the things that I'm known for is building Leslie's. What I was doing, my brother Don started this. I can't take credit. My brother Don started this where we actually, he was playing in a horn band, all right, and so he was using a B3. That's all he played, the B3, and but he was also the bass player, all right. So he had to develop a Leslie that would be able to do organ plus be powerful enough to carry the bass. This was like a 7-piece band he was playing with. So, and they were pretty well known. And anyway, what he did was he's an engineer, so he designed all this stuff, and he built himself a powerful Leslie. Ripped out all the amplifiers that were the original amp, was only 60 watts. He popped in the 300-watt Bogan tube power amp in the bastard, and then we loaded it up with all Electro Voice. Electro Voice 15 SRO. At first we had two 60-watt EV drivers with a T-pipe. Screwed both of those drivers into one. All right, then we went to the 110-watt EV drivers. And anyway, then with the 300-watt power amp, we had to have a preamp. So it was using the Shure Audio Master, which was a little preamp, and even had it had a parametric on it for EQ and the sound. Really cool. All right, but anyway, other keyboard players are like, wow, I gotta have a powerful Leslie. So, and as a little kid, I think I was like 10 years old when I first started helping Dawn do this. I still do. I'm kind of noted for building customized Leslies. The best Leslie I ever built was the one. There was two of them that really stood out: the Beast and the Angry Bird Leslie. And which I built the Angry Bird Leslie. I built that for my one buddy Danny, and then now my buddy Frank owns it. It's a 1,000-watt Leslie. All right. And but I also had some really cool ones. I had one during the '90s. It was Biamped. I had an Ashley crossover in it. I had I think a PV power amp for the bottom speaker, and then I had a Crown 90-watt for the horns. All right, and then a crossover for it. Then even had an EQ hooked up with that. The whole thing setup was ignorant, and but it was crazy. And I build Leslie's for everybody, and I still do for this to this very day. And really cool stuff. But the key to everything today is being portable. You know what I mean? And just like with a lot of this new stuff, everything's really cool. Now, I tell you what, now, let me see if I can bring this in. Probably since I'm looking for it, I'm not going to find it, but you know what, I could probably find it this way. Organ. And my glasses, man. See, that's another thing about getting old. Me glasses, bifocals. And alright. This is really cool if I could find it. Is this it? That ain't it. Here it is. Alright. I know one of the I think the best samples that I heard for B3 is right out of this Triton. Because somehow they captured the soul of the Hammond. Kind of hard to play with this damn chair in a way, but it's a beautiful sample what they did with this. All right, but let's talk about organs. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you something. And normally I would show you this on the B3, but since this one keyboard's hanging out over this, you're not going to see the drawbar. So we're going to go all the way over here, and we're going to take a look at the VR09. All right. And lately, the VR09 has kind of been its own star. But this is probably something a lot of you young puppies don't know about. Now we're going to break down the drawbars. All right. I just love playing this thing. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the overdrive off. Put a little on. we get rid of the percussion. Alright. Now this is drawbar 1. Now, basically, when you look at these drawbars are basically harmonics. Alright? So listen when I bring in the second one. Hear it? Well, that's what it brought in. But you're over here. And what it's doing is bringing this in. Listen. Hear it? So it's actually 2 notes playing, which is a G, so it's actually a 5. And it's actually, it says 5 and 1, 5 and a third. Alright? See? It's harmonics. Alright? So, I'll check this out. Alright, then we do the next draw, the third drawbar up, and it's basically an octave. Alright. So, you got an octave and a third. Alright, now here's another octave. You hear it? That's what it did. But you guys didn't even know that. So when you put these all together, really cool, huh? So, and that's basically what everything is. It's all harmonics and really cool. There's a little bit of organ info, man. You've got to have the organ info. So everybody look at me and say this. Say, organ info, man. Okay, now I worked myself into a tizzy where I got to have some nicotine. Alrighty? So, it's really cool, but I was thinking, well, what if we take like a multi-timbre keyboard such as like maybe the EX, and we maybe put a bunch of different organs. Alright, you know how you would layer about maybe 5 or 6 programs together? Maybe put a bunch of organs and then like change the tuning on each one and kind of make them like you would do drawbars and start putting those together like that. And I'm going to do that. I just don't feel like setting this whole thing up right now. But, you know what, since I was playing, I think I'm going to jam a little bit. So what we're going to do is take a music break a little bit. And step up into modern day technology. And what we got... cool. But, yeah, pretty wild. This scared the shit out of me, man. It was a diving bottle of Lipton iced tea, peach flavored. Okay, we're just going to take a break here to introduce our sponsor for today. Sponsor today is... Don't have no sponsor. Okay, so, you know, you look at the stuff we have today, man. It's just like insane. We got samplers out the ass. We got all these keyboards. We got stuff that you can sing into the keyboard. It will do the vocals. All you gotta do is say the words. Sweet, whoa, sweet carry-on, coming towards you, carry me. Oh, sweet little carry on, coming towards you, carry me. Casa. Nuts. Hit a button. Oh, wait. Yeah, there we go. Cool stuff, man. So, this is kind of my little trip back in the past, man. There's so many journeys. You got the journeys of the Junos. You got the journeys of the Jupiters. You got the journey of the Moogs. The journey of the Mellotrons. All this stuff, man. So I just figured, since I was feeling a tad nostalgic, to give you guys just a little talk on what it's like to be a baby boomer. So, guys, hope you enjoy this. If you can, do me a favor, hit like, subscribe, helps my channel out. You know, I mainly make videos because I like sharing what I know. And also, I got those of you who know me, you know I enjoy building stuff. I like to make cool things and stuff to make life a lot easier. I got a new pedal I made, alright? Now, we got the mini pedals and all the stuff, but this is a really cool sustain pedal. Like, you know, you do the organ, and then you want to do the Leslie, so you need a switch for the Leslie. So right now you need two sustain pedals, right? You got a sustain pedal for your piano, but you need an extra pedal to turn the Leslie on. I was thinking, what if you make a sustain pedal that if you put your foot up here, you can turn your Leslie on and off, alright? So that's a combination pedal, alright? And I call it the Leapazoid Super Pedal, alright? And so here's your output for your switch to go to the organ. And then on the back, you have, this pedal could either be normally open or normally closed. Alright, and and I made it big, and it's got Velcro underneath, and you pull these off, and this will stick to your Chief if you have a customized pedal boards that all of you should have. Oh, you don't have one? Why? Order it. I make them any size you want. Watch my trailer. I have all type of stuff, man. I make crap, man. I got tons of crap. All right. Speaking of crap, I'm out of here. But hey, we got a lot of stuff now. Look, we got synthesizers. All right. I mean, all type of stuff, man. We're gonna deep dive a lot of this stuff. Gotta go. See you when I see you. God bless.